The original version of this video was uploaded to Jason Verney's YouTube channel, where it and many other videos, podcasts, snippets and films can be found. That channel can be found at youtube.com/Jason Verney. This is the No So Co Po with Jay and Tim. I am Jason Verney, and he is Timothy Home. You'll actually hear Tim in a minute or two in this episode of the Not So Korean podcast. As you probably know, and as we always say, we usually record this live in UK's Koreatown itself. That's an area in and around New Malden. Yes, that's the largest Koreatown and Korean community in Europe. In this on the fly, on the go, on the move episode, Tim interviews Jason, that's me, about my film Reparation, which has recently been in the Kingston International Film Festival, and the interview takes place in Kingston.
Hello, this is Timothy Home, recording live from Castle Street in Kingston, a little bit different location than usual. But not far away from where the Kingston International Film Festival will be held next week, or it may have already happened depending on when you're listening to this podcast, but it's in June, the end of June 2022, the first Kingston International Film Festival. And one of the participants in that festival will be Jason C. Verney, my podcast co-host and longtime friend as well. And I also helped him out with his film, which is called Reparation. And so his film will be screening at the festival next week. And we're here to talk a little bit about it and what he's been doing for the festival. So Jason, do you want to tell me about your film and how it got into the festival and so on?
Yeah. First of all, it's funny that we're here because we're in Castle Street, as Tim said, and that's very well known for it's almost a food street, isn't it? And it's got harangue, we've mentioned before, so I just find it's a great place to do this interview, really. So about the film itself, it's a mystery. It's an overall mystery film, drama, but it's also a social drama. So I want people to know that before they go in, really. So when you read the synopsis, it's there. It mentions and it touches on Sewell Ferry. It touches on gentrification, Grenfell, corporations. But if you put that aside, it's mystery. This kind of story that's going on with this girl that's being watched through CCTVs. The two Korean girls are watching what this girl is doing, and as you said, you were involved with some of this, and you were involved with these scenes, the one with the girl. We'll call her the girl for now. And the other characters, Sil and Sujung, they are watching and wondering what he's doing. So they're watching it live on CCTV, and they're meant to be doing their studying, and they're distracted by that. So the story, there's a lot of talking in the film, but there's a lot of as I keep mentioning the word mystery, there's a lot of mystique, a lot of music as well, actually. So I've tried to do what I did. It could have been a much shorter film. It's a 30-minute drama, but I kept adding stuff about the state of the world, or the state of the world in Korea, and basically it's about loss as well. Loss and it's loss and lost lives perhaps. So I could tell you how it came about.
Yeah, well, there's also a Korean connection involved with this project, and do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, apart from the two characters, which are Sil and Sojung, there's the Korean aspect. I guess it's because of my involvement with the Korean community and in Korean and just in Korean stuff for the last 12 years or so that I I can't help but my ideas these days come from those issues. And in fact, I've got a couple of other ideas for two other mid-length shorts that I want to kind of put together with this one. Probably a bit based and filmed in New Malden. But yeah, going back to this one, it was actually quite funny how the Korean aspect came up, because originally I was going to have it where there was this girl being watched. It was actually a bit of interesting stuff. There was actually a relation in my family who's an actress, and she was going to play that role. So I already had that in mind, that this girl would be doing something, but I needed someone to be watching it. I needed two people to be sort of looking at what this girl was doing. And the only reason you could do that was through CCTV, or they could be some of the people that walk into the building. So that's when it kind of I thought, well, let's have two students. Maybe in my head I had this sort of typical picture in my head of Korean students, and I don't know why. Maybe it's too many films I've seen, and that. Then I thought, well, they can't just be watching the screen. Surely they've got to be doing something, and that's when their projects start to come out to why they, whether it's Korean or, as I mentioned before, Korean issues, or issues also that are affected in this country. In fact, a few days ago, it was the Grenfell anniversary. If anyone knows what that is, the Grenfell Tower, which, due to cladding and really bad sort of judgment, I suppose, with the builders, and also the people, the way it was treated in the media as well. There was a 2-minute silence the other day for it. So there's, and obviously the Sewell Ferry, there's connections there. So yeah, I couldn't help but just keep putting those stories in, and it kind of, although it's quite a wordy film, it does kind of work in a way, because you've got I think it does anyway. That's me saying it. Because you've got this, you've got this stuff going on elsewhere, which is kind of a break from what they're doing, and vice versa. There's not many scenes when you don't actually see the girl, what she's doing, and I'm being quite vague about this because I don't want to give away anything at this point. Yeah, so that's a bit about the Korean connection, I suppose. Probably I could say more, but as I say, there's the names, the Korean, there's probably, I don't want to say too much, but there's probably hints that you could see in the film that are Korean related. I'm not going to say Easter eggs, because I don't want to, I don't know, maybe they're not Easter eggs. Yeah.
So if people are not able to see this film at the festival, will there be any other way they can check it out?
Right, at this point in time, it's already been in a couple of festivals in India. Now, they might not have been in-person festivals, but they were jury-led ones, so I'm not sure how many people actually sat and watched them, but the jury did. But yeah, so other than this one, the other festival it's playing at, which I'm going to Korea, as you know, Tim, because we're going to be separated for a while, but we'll deal with it somehow. Hopefully we'll carry on the podcast. But it's a festival in Korea called the Korea International Village Film Festival, and it's funny actually, because it doesn't sound like one that's well known, but when I've spoken to one or two people, they've actually heard of it, and they have been in that kind of creative world as well. So that's where people will be able to see it, but it's going to play once in Seoul. Then as the months go on, there's potential it might play elsewhere in the country, like Mokpo or something, but I've not had any guarantees about that. The thing is, the thing is with Kingston as well, I'll just touch on this. The Korea one was great for me, because I thought, well, finally it's got its audience, even though it's got a standalone story, you don't have to be into Korean culture to watch it and enjoy it. I was kind of thinking, that's brilliant. I couldn't be happier, But then the KIFF, this Kingston Film Festival came along, and it's not only on my doorstep and in our community, in the Kingston upon Thames area. Sorry about the noise. It's not me. I seem to have this affinity, and if anyone heard a podcast I did recently, separate from this Not So Korean podcast, I spoke about the affinity I seem to have with Kingston, starting about a decade ago when I met Kim Kobe. She was this actress. She's an actress in Korea, and that was in Kingston. And then I've done work down here, and then in 2017 I had some Korean-related video art. Again, that's not actually online available, but I will be making it available online. It's a very short video art. But I seem to have this, I don't know, something's drawing me back to Kingston. And the Edward Muybridge, the inventor of the moving image, basically, maybe these two seem to be connected and connecting me to Kingston and New Malden. So the Edward Muybridge, I actually entered this under the Edward Muybridge Prize Strand because it's a local film, and it also meant the film could be any length, which is good. So yeah, I mean, they will be able to see it online, yeah. But I've got to decide once the festivals are done. I'm not going to keep chasing festivals, but, sometimes one comes up and you just think, oh... In fact, anyone will tell you that film festivals, it's not that easy to get selected. I mean, even when someone gets selected... I remember reading something recently online and someone said that about winning things at festivals, and someone commented, I don't know if it was YouTube or something, and said that what people don't understand, that to get selected is something, It's like, if you don't win something, then that's fine. So that's basically, people will be able to see it, and I know there's people that want to see it, and I've promised they'll see it, but, who knows at this point in time, maybe 2023 or late this year, 2022.
Well, we'll certainly look forward to that. And so, also, there's a friend of ours has a film in the festival which you helped to enter into the film festival, the SESANG. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, and also how you got more involved with the festival itself?
Yeah. Now, this is all kind of... I'm not involved with the festival as such, per se, but because they knew that I had a Korean connection, I remember walking into there and giving my business cards. I think I ended up giving them 3 business cards. The Not So Korean podcast, my filmmaking one, and also my mini movie website one. And they then contacted me to ask if I knew Korean filmmakers or Korean films that would be good for this festival. So I did get in contact with a couple of people that we know. I won't go into that right now. And eventually, I was also, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking of SESANG because of Jules. This is a film actually that you were kind of involved with the funding and stuff, the backing, and I was at a later stage. And I kept thinking, she hasn't had that shown in the UK. And although this isn't like a competition strand, it's like a guest film. So there's a Malaysian feature film. These are features, and this one. And temporarily they had like a Memories of Murder, the Bong Joon-ho film with a Japanese wording on the website, and that was just a holding picture. So people might have thought, oh wow, they're going to play that. So I spoke to Jules, and I actually saw the film, and I thought, yes. I checked it with the festival organisers, and they seemed quite interested. It seems to fit the bill, so we were lucky. We had, a really good thing. So I'm as excited as Jules probably is, because, there's now 2. There are films from China in the festival, Ukraine. There's a festival film about that from Ukraine director, but there's also, as I say, now there's 2 Korean language films, although mine, by the way, I will say this, mine is actually in English and Korean, so subtitles throughout for both in English fully. And now there's 2 in the festival. In fact, they're on the same day, so when my strand starts not my strand, there's 10 films in the strand. I'm top billing of the strand, I guess, at 10:30 a.m, and her film is in the strand that starts at 3 p.m. on the Saturday 25th. So that's good. That's a bit of a coincidence, and I suppose she's just like me in a way that she wants people to see the film. It might have done the rounds for a year or 2, but when you get the chance, you want people to see it. And the reason they wanted something Korean as opposed to just a different East Asian film was because of as we know, the area we live is very New Malden and Kingston area is very. It's very Korean community heavy, as you know, the biggest in Europe. So that's why they asked me. But I didn't expect to, and I've also got involved with something else. I mean, I guess this is all behind the scenes. I won't go into too much about what I've been helping out with. But that was something that I was just pleased to be involved with, and I'm hoping to be involved next year. It seems that they've got sort of permission the rights to have a festival for at least 3 years, because obviously when you start a festival up, this being the inaugural one, I couldn't say that word then. So this is a big thing as well. They did have a festival before called Kingston Film Festival. It was arranged by the students of Kingston University, which is a very well-known university, and then they sort of morphed into this international one. And in fact, the 5 venues they're using are the Odeon Cinema that we've been to a few times, in the Rotunda building in Kingston, the Rose Theatre, which is where my film will be in the studio there with the screen, and also 2 or 3 buildings which are to do with the university, the townhouse and other stuff. So I just feel like it's this is a big thing for Kingston, but also it's great that there's a Koreatown, Kingston Korea connection.
Right, so is there anything else we should know either about the film or the film festival before we leave you?
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's one thing, as I mentioned, this film is a bit of 2 things. It's kind of a standalone drama, and it's a social drama with certain issues, but I will say it's on the billing as experimental film, because I mean to me it's just a standard narrative film, but maybe the techniques I use, being a video artist, some of the techniques might be sort of not standard, but it's not experimental film as in you don't understand what the hell's going on, like a lot of experimental films you watch some lines on the screen and then it's 10 minutes of that. No, it's definitely not that. So I'm just saying that anyone who does see it, I mean, as you say, when this goes out, it might have already been. But anyone who sees it in the future, they might. This is like I've just created a Facebook event for the film, the actual event, because it's the UK premiere for me, so it's a big thing. I know it's only a 30-minute film, but that is quite a mammoth task. It's taken me a couple of years to refine it to this 30-minute version, and I think it's. I just want to kind of preempt people, pre-warn them that it might not be your average film, and it's just my style, And I've been having ideas for 2 decades, or 3 decades actually, but in the last decade it's all revolved around Korea and Asia, not just Korea, Asia as well. So for anyone to, just if you get a chance to come along to the festival, great. If you haven't been to the festival, then apologies. If it's Kingston, obviously it's not everyone's near here. Yeah, and the Kingston International Film Festival. Oh yeah, I should probably mention their backers and their patrons. 2 of the big ones are Mike Newell, or 2 of the main ones, if not the main ones. And Mike Newell, and you'll know him from the first Harry Potter film, but also 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Donnie Brasco he directed, and Pushing Tin. Have you seen that? I love Pushing Tin. From what I remember, I haven't seen it for a while. And Dame Vanessa Redgrave. And she's a very famous actress in this country. So they're backers, but they've also got Jason Wong, who's been involved. They've got Marina Sirtis. Yeah, she's a Star Trek. Well, she's not just. In fact, she's in one of the films in the festival. So, but a lot of people know her as the. What was her role in the festival? Sorry, not festival. In the film, in the series.
Deanna Troi.
That's it. I knew. I think it was Deanna, and I knew. I sometimes get confused with. You remember that series V? Because that woman was Diana, not Deanna. I know it's got nothing to do with Star Trek, but it's like. So she's there, and there's a stuntman who's done Harrison Ford stunts before, and there's the actor I mentioned who's been in Mission Impossible film.
Oh yes.
Doug Gray
Scott.
Sorry, yeah. Doug Gray Scott. There's actually quite big names, and bearing in mind this is just 3 days, 24th to 26th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, there's a lot. 99 films, 5 venues, and 3 days. It's quite a lot packed in. So I'm going to be there immersing myself, and Mike Newell's meant to be there quite a lot of the time, so people should see him. I'm not sure about everyone else at this point. David Cunningham, he's the organiser, one of the main ones, the head one really. They're going to have like a networking space in the Rotunda, which is kind of the studio space at the moment where they're kind of setting it up. So I'm, again, it's that building that seems to be, that's where I first met Kim Kobe in there. There's something drawing me to Kingston, going back to that. So that's it really for that.
Okay. Well, it all sounds very exciting, Jason. So we will speak to you again soon, maybe after your film shows at the film festival. Cheers.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Cheers, Tim. Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. So that's all from us. 안녕히 계세요.